So for those that are joining us for the first time, this is Blue Sky Citadel. We offer free trainings on any IT area actually. So we got project management, we got software testing, we got IT, we got business analysis, and we've got web development, and also we've got kind of different IT trainings actually. So this is now Power Apps, and we are fortunate, I would say, to have Chris here. So and Chris is a partner partner technical architect with Microsoft. So and to be honest, for me, I want also to learn from Chris, even how Power App works. I've heard about a lot of cool things about it. So I want to see Chris showing us what this cool app is basically it and how is we can actually use it. So I will hand it over to Chris right now. Chris.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me okay? And can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. All right. So thank you very much for having me, everyone. It's a real privilege to be here and to talk to a lot of you. What an awesome audience. And I just caught the tail end of the last presentation and it looked absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to try my level best to follow that. I don't know how well I'll do, but also please feel free to leave any questions you have in the chats. I've got the chat open over here, so I'll be able to see stuff that comes up. And as I present, I will answer. Okay. So let's start off. First of all, the thing we're going to be talking about today is creating solutions in a data-driven world. And that is quite an exciting thing. So just to tell you who I am, my name is Chris Huntingford. I'm a partner technical architect at Microsoft. So I was actually, I've only been in the UK for about 6 years. I used to live in South Africa, which is pretty awesome. So I got to experience both parts of the world. And yeah, I've been at Microsoft for a little while. I've worked in the partner channel for a very long time, doing some pretty awesome stuff. If you're all on Twitter or LinkedIn, please feel free to just give me a shout out. I'll more than happily chat to you. I actually recognize some of the names in here. So yeah, if you ever want to just chat or talk tech, catch me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and I'll gladly have a discussion. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of really interesting things, and I think one of the things we've realized over the past few years, I've done a lot of stuff all over the world. And one of the things I discovered is that, when you're looking at organizations, there are lots of businesses all over the planet. One of the things that we've gotten super good at doing is gathering data. Okay. So we've gotten really, really good at collecting data. And actually, if you look at the statistics, the number of organizations with 100 terabytes of unstructured data has doubled since 2016. That's so much data. I mean, if you think about the amount of data we've accumulated, it's huge. And when you look at the presentations that we used to do at Microsoft and within the rest of the communities, we always used to say, get as much data as you can, collect data. And you guys are all doing it now. I mean, on your machines, I bet you've got a spreadsheet that you're not sharing with people. And I bet you've got a document that you're not sharing with people as well. I've got loads. I've got loads and loads of Excel spreadsheets all over the place. The next stat which they bring up, and by the way, all these stats are supported by Gartner and Forrester and various analytics companies from all over the world. One of the things that we discovered was that only 32% of those organizations actually make or analyze your data or make it useful correctly. So here's the funny thing, right? If you look at that as a statistic, effectively, if I take my bank, if I take my insurer, and if I take my mobile phone provider, only one of those three organizations actually know who I am. That's crazy, right? So the only one of those three of those organizations actually use me and understand my information to make sure that I'm served best as a customer. Something else really interesting. We discovered something that, and I don't just please ignore the fact that it says the US workforce. So it says that over 72% of the global workforce actually will be mobile workers by 2020. Well, here's something crazy. Look at the position we're in with COVID. We're being forced to work from home. We're being forced to work remotely. And that's not just in the UK. It's not just in South Africa. It's in loads of different places all over the world. We're on a Teams call in a random location. I don't know where all of you are. I'd love to know. In fact, if you want, feel free to leave your country in the window. It would be interesting to see, right? So pop your country into the chat. So I'll put mine in over here. I'm going to say, that's where I come from, right? There we go. So feel free to stick your country in the chat. I'd be interested to see you where in the world you're coming from. Now, because we are very much focused on working remotely, one of the other things we do is we know we need to be using our mobile devices quite a lot. So I bet you some of you on the phone call or even on Tinder right now. Haha. So that would interest me, right? So we all are forced to work from our mobile devices. And I think it's really interesting because that's a real key thing. The other thing that I find very important to understand about developing mobile applications is that it costs a lot of money. By the way, we've got loads of people from the UK and loads of people from Nigeria. So we're having a competition. I don't know who's going to win this, right? Very interesting. So really important that apps can be perceived to be expensive. But if I go back to my original points around mobile app development, I want you to take these two key points, right? Two very key points. First one is that orgs have more than 100 terabytes of unstructured data has doubled since 2016. That's loads of data, everyone. You know what? That means there's data there to be built on. By the way, heads up to Alex from Zimbabwe. What's up, man? And we've also got 32% of those organizations, although only those orgs are actually leveraging the data correctly. So that's crazy. So I want to tell you all something, right? Whenever you watch a Microsoft presentation, and we always talk about data, we always say the terms big data. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that, big data, right? Well, let me tell you something interesting. Big data is not always good data. If you've got loads of data, it doesn't mean it's awesome, which probably means your organization could be in a bit of trouble right now. Okay, so let's start thinking out the box a little bit. So we've got all this amazing data, and we've got the ability to do something with that data. Let's look at another common problem that we've got in organizations. Well, the first common problem we've got, and I'd love to know. I mean, look, we always talk about the business versus the IT department. So some of you are like super technical, right? And some of you are really great at doing IT projects. And some of you might be business users that really need solutions to help you in your day jobs. So here's something. What happens when the business users, like me, so I'm a business user, I maybe work in, let's pick something cool, right? Let's pick something fun. Say I work at a retailer, and my job is to sell people food. And I need a system to help me sell people food. So what do? I go to the IT department and I say, hey, IT department, I need some help. And the IT department, and I say, because all my processes are really complicated. And I really struggle to do everything on paper. I really need some help with the system. And the IT department go, you are crazy. I go, why? Come on, man. We need help here. We could refine the processes. And the IT department go, no. That makes me sad because that just means that they aren't investing in the business. But here's the real thing. IT departments don't always have money. Okay. So they spend the money on making sure that their systems and their data is correct and governed and compliant. So I say this, right? When I look at this from the perspective of IT, I always think, well, I don't know if anyone on this call knows what shadow IT is. So this is a really weird concept. Shadow IT is when the business goes to an organization, they ask for a system, IT don't give it to them, so they download their own one or they make their own one. Okay. So the example I'll give you is that if Microsoft say to me, we're all using Teams, right? In fact, I love Teams so much. Let me show you how much I love Teams. I'm going to put a crazy GIF in the icon in the pad here, right? There we go. That's how much I love Teams. Okay. So if you go to the chat, you can see Teams, you can see a GIF. So I would encourage you, put your favorite GIF up right now. Okay. Now, if Microsoft say to me, Chris, you're not allowed to add GIFs in Teams anymore, you know what I'll do? I'll go into my phone, I'll download WhatsApp, I'll create a WhatsApp group, I'll invite all my friends there, and the business won't know what I'm doing, and neither will, the business will know what I'm doing, but IT won't, okay? And that's because they haven't let me do something. So I want to tell you something. It's my favorite phrase in the whole world. When I talk to IT people, I say, better a governed free market you know than a black market you don't know, okay? So better a governed free market you know than a black market you don't know. So think about it as in you want to know what people are doing, and you want to know what they're creating, and you want to know what they're downloading. You don't want that to be kept a secret, right? And that's really important. You want to understand what they're doing with their data. And if you don't, you know what happens? Your reporting is incorrect because your data is wrong. If they're using a system that you don't trust as an IT department, how on earth can you trust the reports from that because you don't understand the data? Oh, now we're getting to the big world now, because what's actually happening is that, imagine this conversation had gone very differently with IT in the business. Imagine they had said, you know what? Let's work together to build something. Well, I'll tell you what, the things that I'm going to show you today allow that to happen. They allow the business and IT to work together to create awesome systems. And I'll take you a bet. Alex has seen this, right? I'm going to take you a bet. I bet you today I will build you a mobile app in under 1 minute. Okay. I'll build you a mobile app in under 1 minute, and I'll show you how. The next thing is a thing called total cost of ownership. Goodness me, you know what? A lot of the time in organizations, they've got a thing called Office 365. I bet you all of you on this call use Word and Excel at some point. Yep. I'll take you any bet you use Word and Excel. So let me tell you something. There's a very good chance you have Office 365. I'm pretty sure most of you use Outlook, right? Another bet that you've probably got Office 365. Now, how about this? What if I told you, yeah, there we go, getting some answers in there. What if I told you that you already have a lot of the elements to build out mobile apps in the Power Platform? How exciting is that? You've already got this stuff in your system, and I'm going to show you where to get to it, right? So your total cost of ownership drops in your organization because you've already bought most of the software. And if you're a Microsoft partner, your customers already bought most of the software. How exciting is that, right? So there's this awesome guy in our business in Microsoft. He's such a legend. His name is Satya Nadella. Now, Satya is our CEO, and he's a pretty clever guy, I think. You know, and Satya, he made a statement. He said, 500 million new apps will be built in the next 5 years. 500 million new apps will be built in the next 5 years. And you all on the call are going, this guy's crazy. He could never say that. Well, let me tell you something else. There is a statistic out there that says 65% of application development will be done in low code, no code by 2024. And I'm going to qualify what low code, no code is shortly. They're also saying that the estimated low code development market by 2024 will be worth $52 billion. Now, where I come from, it's rands. In the UK, it's pounds. You guys can do your math, I'm pretty sure. But those are all backed up by Gartner, Forrester, and various other analytics organizations globally. Those are actual statistics. So there's a lot of money to be made here, but also if you're a customer, there's a lot of things, legacy things you can replace to save you money. So let me explain to you what I say low code, no code is. And I hope you all can see my screen, right? Because I'm going to do a magic trick, right? So you might want to look at the very bottom. I'm going to do something cool. So some of you on this call might know what Lego is. Okay, hopefully some of you know what Lego is. I already do. Lego is one of the coolest things in the world, right? And I promise you I'll get to the point with this. But Lego is a very, very interesting, Lego is a very interesting little product that was built by Lego themselves and allows you to build things. Now, when we talk about low code, no code platforms, I'm going to equate this to Lego. Think about, let me show you this cool thing, right? So I built this with my niece and nephew. We built this awesome blue Lego spaceship. Hopefully you guys can see that, right? And this blue Lego spaceship is made up of lots of these little bricks. Check this out. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's got lots of these little bricks, right? And you know what? All I did was I dug around in a box and I picked the bricks I wanted to and I put them together, all right? And I made this spaceship. It's breaking now because my children are crazy. But that's like the Power Platform. Low code, no code is effectively Microsoft doing the work in building the bricks and giving them to you to build solutions out of, okay? And I'm going to explain to you what those I call them digital bricks. I'm going to explain to you what those digital bricks are. But one of the most important things is that when you start thinking about the platform, think about the fact that we've given you all of these awesome tools to use to create awesome solutions. I'm going to tell you something else very cool just now about that. But one of the things that I've also discovered is that when we're talking about the Power Platform, there's a lot of things that are coming up from what we call a citizen developer movement. Oh, that sounds cool, right? Citizen developer. And what a citizen developer is it's somebody that has the ability to build whatever they'd like. And the question is Power Platform free? Nothing is free, my friend. Nothing is free. All right. So, and I will explain to you some of the licensing, but an incredible question. So here's the thing. When you're looking at what we call citizen developers, they are people that have the ability to create something. Okay. So anyone can create something, and we call those people citizen developers. Now, I used to write code. I used to sit in the corner and write code and build things out of code. Okay. And that was cool. But you don't necessarily need to write code anymore. That's one of the important things. You can build with the tools that we've given you. And that's what you call the citizen developer movements. So what is this amazing platform that we're talking about? The Power Platform. Well, it's a number of things. It's a number of things, folks. The Power Platform has lots of these amazing little Lego bricks in it. And you might know of one or two of the different bricks, but there's lots. Think about a whole box of awesome Lego in front of you, and you're able to dig around and build whatever you would like. So I effectively think, well, the best way to explain the platform is in 4 sections. Yeah. The first section is Power BI. Power BI is this really amazing way to analyze and understand information. So Power BI is a brilliant way to understand what information looks like. Now I'm going to show you something. And could somebody on the call please confirm that you can see my screen that I just dragged over here? Just pop in the comments, yes. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone. You're awesome. You're so engaging. Super rad to see that. Thank you. So, folks, this is Power BI. This is a really great way of engaging data. It's the visual mechanism to understand what data looks like. So if I take a look at my Power BI reports, I can click through and get a better understanding of data from my data sources. So it's a really great way of understanding what data truly looks like within your system. And if you really need to gain true analytics around what's going on with your data in your organization, Power BI is the best way to do it. This is the funniest Power BI reports in the world. I have to say, this is my aquarium Power BI report. I love the little sharks. You can even apply artificial intelligence in Power BI, right? So you can do some amazing things to do this. Now, there's a question in the chat that says, so am I right into saying Power BI is only for reporting? No, Power BI is not only for reporting. You can also interact with data. You can use Power Automate to actually create these amazing automations with data. So think about it as a way to interact with data in a more creative way. And that's what Power BI is all about, right? So Power BI is sort of the end product, but it helps you put intelligence back into the organization. So that's really key. By the way, I can see a hands up. I'm not going to take any live questions right now. So like I said, just stick them in the chat and I'll answer as I go. So, and I'm glad to see somebody's put that you use it at work. That's epic, right? I love that. I love that. So the next thing in the stack is a tool called PowerApps. PowerApps are super cool. So PowerApps are a really good way of interacting with data, like capturing data and storing data. And there's a number of different types of apps, but PowerApps are typically the things that you're going to display on your mobile device or you're going to use in a mid-office scenario. So PowerApps are a really great way of getting users to interact with data in a more robust and compliant way. Now, I love PowerApps. PowerApps is my favorite thing in the world because I can build lots of different types of PowerApps. So I'm going to drag an example over here of a Power App real quick. So here's an example of a Power App that I built to log complaints. Now, Power Apps are normally internal to the organization. And in this scenario, I might have somebody running around capturing data. Now, I'm not going to tell you the full story because you're going to get engaged with this a little later. But these apps give me a really great way to manage and understand the data within my organization from a user perspective. So think about somebody that's, on the road, capturing inspections or doing those types of things. These are the types of apps you can build. You can also build what we call mid-office applications. So line of business solutions that allow you to interact with data in a more sort of governed and compliant fashion as well. Now, these types of Power Apps aren't as pretty as the one I showed you before, and I will tell you the difference shortly. But these types of Power Apps give you the ability to sort of interact with data in a more linear fashion. So if you think about maybe complaints that have been logged, Dynamics 365, I will tell you this, Dynamics 365 customer engagement is a Power App. Wow, that's crazy. Chris, you shouldn't be saying that. Oh, I should be. Dynamics 365 is just another Power App. So Power Apps are really great ways to interact with your data, whether you're in a front office, mid office, or back office scenario, right? So this is the app that people will log into to interact with that information. The next thing that we've got is a tool called Power Automate. Now you're going, hey Chris, do Microsoft just put the word power in front of everything that you buy, like PowerPoint? Why is it called Power Word and Power Excel? Yeah, I know, it's just the naming convention that we use. It's a little bit crazy, but Power Automate is the third pillar in the Power Platform. And what it does is it allows you to automate interactions with various pieces of data. Power Automate is an absolutely fantastic way to automate those menial tasks and processes that you would normally have to do manually. So think about like moving data from point to point. You could do that really quickly using Power Automate without having to do too much work. So we've given you this amazing automation layer within the Power Platform. And effectively what you're doing is you're moving stuff and dragging and dropping various little elements to create this flow of data or this flow of tasks. So Power Automate looks a little bit like this. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much detail. A lot of you will know this on the call as flow. All right. So what I can really do is I can run through a process and say, well, when a record is created, I'm going to get the record. I'm going to apply some artificial intelligence, and I'm going to update the other record. And it's such an awesome question here. Is it similar to SSIS? You know what? SSIS can be quite tough to use sometimes. This reminds me of using Kingsway Soft with SSIS a little bit. So we've got all these pre-built connectors. Let me show you something cool though. Flow, and I'm going to do something crazy. Well, I wanted to talk about this later, but with Flow, Power Automate, you've got these connectors and you can connect to various data sources. So if you want to interface data between points, right, without writing any code, these are all the data sources you can interface to. And it's really easy. Let me give you an example, right? And I'm going to build one in front of you. Say, for an example, I want to send an email to someone every single time I capture a record. I'm just going to call this send email. So all I'm going to do, think of it as workflow. All I'm going to do is say, whenever a record is created, I'm going to send an email out to this person. So very, very simply, you select the environment you want to work with. You select the entity. We'll select LRG, so local regional government complaints. We're going to say that this is for everyone in the organization. And I promise you folks, every single time somebody captures a record, we're just going to send an email. And that email is simply just going to land up in my inbox. Wait for that to pop up. Now, what's cool about this is that you can actually move information between points as well. So I'm just going to go, if you want to take down my email, go right ahead. Oh, whoops, apparently I can't spell. So I'm going to send that email to that person there. The subject's going to be test, and I'm going to just say hello. Okay. What I could also do is I could do something crazy like create a tweet. Yeah. So I can say I'm going to post a tweet, and this is synchronized with my account. Awesome user group and training. Again, that's going to post a tweet to my account. What I could also do is I could actually copy that data to another data source. So I could say copy the data. So I'm going to go, let's say you're using Salesforce. I can actually use the Salesforce connector to copy data between my different systems. How crazy is that, right? And this is an automation tool that we've got that lives under the hood. So very, very simple flow that I've built there, but you can do it in seconds without having to write any code. So low code, no code. The last little thing I wanted to show you is a tool called Power Virtual Agents. And Power Virtual Agents it's basically a bot, and it allows you to create these amazing interactive experiences with like a bot or a chat bot on the net. So what I found is that, if your organization is really interested in doing something with Power Virtual Agents and you're wanting to have a chat bot on your website, you can actually go ahead and create these amazing chat experiences. And I really love that, because I kind of feel like if you have this ability to do that and create a different form of communication within your organization, you're going to actually reach a much larger audience. And that's the really important part, right? Is to make sure that everyone is catered for. So unfortunately, I don't have a demo for that. But what I'm going to do is drag and drop the screen over here to show you a quick screenshot. But you can actually see that you can create a thing called Q&A Maker. And when you're busy doing that, you can pass variables, you can create actions and do all these amazing things. And that comes up as a bot on your website, a physical bot, like a chat bot that you find on websites that enables you to interact with these various companies. Now, that's great. Those are the 4 core areas of the Power Platform, which is really awesome, because those areas give you such a great ability and such a great array of interacting with data. But I did tell you that we're going to be building apps in a data-driven world. So we need to start talking about data right now. And data is the most important thing in the Power Platform. Sorry, I got to keep myself hydrated. So data is the most important thing in the Power Platform. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you about very quickly is the connectors. The connectors are key, right? So we have got hundreds of connectors within the Power Platform that allow you to connect to various data sources. So these are typically the connectors that we have. So if you're running Salesforce in your organization, that's cool. You can build an app on top of Salesforce. If you're running Oracle, that's cool. You can build an app on top of Oracle. There we go, Oracle. Whoopsie, L. So there's an Oracle connector, and these connectors have various tools in them that allow you to move and integrate data between points. Like I said, if you've got Salesforce, you can build an app on top of Salesforce and interact with that data. So all of that data that exists in those sources that you wouldn't normally build on top of, you can use, right? So when we go into customers now, we're saying, hey, we can help you build apps on top of anything, not just on top of Dynamics or Common Data Service or Microsoft products. Hell, you know what? If you want to, you can even connect to SharePoint, and you can interact with SharePoint lists. That's cool. There's loads. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different connectors. I think we're on now 350 different connectors. So we don't mind what you connect to. If you connect into SQL, cool, we'll connect to your SQL server. Can I tell you something even more awesome? If the connector doesn't exist, you can create your own one. You can actually create your own connector. How epic is that? So if you don't have a connector to your product that you've built, you can make one. And what's even better than that is you can put it on the marketplace over here and you can get other people to use it. Yeah, you're right. It's very epic in the chat. You're my new friend. So it's awesome, right? You can create these amazing connectors. Now that's the whole thing. The other thing that we've got in the Power Platform is a thing called AI Builder. Oh, I've got the best story to tell you about AI Builder. So AI Builder is a thing that before you had to be a proper nerd to interact with data. But now what we've done is we've democratized it into the Power Platform. So now it's part of our platform. So you don't even need to log into Azure to use AI Builder anymore. You can use it directly in the Power Platform. You don't have to write any code. And I'm going to show you some AI in the demo we do just now. Let me tell you something interesting though. Yep, ERP connector as well, my good friend. There's finance and operations and business central in there. And if you don't see it in there, you can make your own one. So let me tell you something interesting about artificial intelligence. What we were talking about was the whole concept of being able to automate data interactions. So every single time somebody did something with data, we try to make their interaction better. But you know what happened is people started getting scared about artificial intelligence. So I remember, okay, you shouldn't be getting an echo. I'm not getting it on my side, but if you are, let me know. I can't really do too much on my end. But here's the interesting thing. When we started doing stuff with artificial intelligence, what we realized was that people were afraid. So if you've ever seen the movie The Matrix or The Terminator, everyone freaked out because they thought that AI was going to take over. And fortunately for us, it didn't take over, right? And what actually happened was that we started moving away from the fear of AI into understanding it a little bit more, artificial intelligence. So I don't know how many of you have ever watched a horror movie, but I always laugh at this. I always equate artificial intelligence to a horror movie. And people say, hey, Chris, you're crazy, man. Why do you say that? And I say, let me tell you why. Because there's a scene in a horror movie it's in every horror movie you watch. And there's always somebody when they walk through the door and the door goes behind them and it slams shut. very much like this. Bam. And you're going, oh my gosh, why did that happen? What happened? Like, that scares me. And it scares me so much. Folks, did me opening the door, did the mere opening and closing the door scare you? It shouldn't have. The reason is because that's what doors do. They open and close. AI does the same thing. It's very similar. There's nothing scary to it. It's been made scary by people. Okay. So we've democratized it, and I'm going to show you AI actually working. The last thing, and the most important part of the Power Platform, is the Common Data Service. The Common Data Service is a cloud-based data facility that enables you, as super users, the ability to create relational data models, complicated relational data models, and store your data securely in a governed and compliant format. You know that in the Common Data Service, we have 7 layers of security. We've got everything from Active Directory Federation all the way down to field level data obfuscation. We actually are able to hide data in certain fields. Sure, Common Data Service is a bit more expensive, but you pay for convenience, folks. It's like buying a Ferrari versus buying a VW, okay? You're going to pay for the Ferrari, but it is the best cloud-based data facility in the world. It gives you the ability to create data storage facilities. So with all of this amazing stuff in the Power Platform, and I'm not going to demo the other 3 pieces, I'm going to show you those live, is that, well, I'm not going to demo them yet. We're going to demo those 2 together, actually. I'll tell you what. So, by the way, you're going to want to get out your phones shortly. You're going to need to scan something for me. Okay, so just be ready, because I'm going to tell you when. So what you'll need for the next piece is your phone. All you've got to do is open your camera. If you've got a Nokia 3310, I'm sorry, we have to talk then. But if you don't, or if you've got a 5110, we got to talk. But if you don't and you've got a smartphone, all you're going to do is scan a QR code and fill in a form for me. All right, and we're going to get there shortly. So just be prepared. Get off of Tinder. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is really quickly what we call citizen developers versus pro devs. So I want to tell you something amazing. In the Power Platform, did you know that we have over 3 million developers? What? 3 million monthly active developers. Okay, that's crazy. And remember, I told you developers aren't people that write code. Developers are people that create things. 3 million of them. That's bonkers. But let me tell you why. We give in the Power Platform everyone the ability to do stuff. So I say we are probably the most inclusive bunch of people in the world. We've got everyone from people that clean buses to CEOs of businesses building apps, right? My one friend Keith used to drive a bus. And he can build an app. A guy called Samet used to work at Heathrow. Samet's building apps. I've got friends that are absolute super nerds. They're geeky with the big glasses and they hide in rooms, but they write code. They're building apps. There is a place for everyone on this platform, folks. I don't care where in the world you are. And by the way, I loved all the comments of where you were. That was epic. But there's so many people in this world that we've got. This is such an inclusive platform. So it doesn't matter who you are and what skills you have, you can build an app. And I'm going to prove it to you today. Okay. So remember, if you're a developer, you can build an app. If you're not a developer, epic, you can build an app. Okay. With some certain controls in place, obviously. The next thing I want to talk about, this is the funny part. Anyone that likes wrestling, we talk about data, right? So there's 4 official data storage facilities that Microsoft always advertised and people always fight about. Okay. Each one has its use case. We're not going to get into them in too much detail, but because we are a data-first organization, everything we do is about data, right? Azure lives on top of data. So if those of you on the call that are Azure geeks, awesome. If you know how to do stuff in Azure, awesome. You are the foundation to everything we do, okay? The Power Platform lives on top of Azure. So if I get philosophical, trees with deep roots don't blow over. That's Power Platform. Azure is the foundation. With Dynamics 365, it is built on top of the Power Platform. It uses what we've got in there as a root, right? So when you look at the various data services, if data is the most important thing to us, we need to make sure we look after it properly. I won't explain this slide in too much detail, but these are typically the options that you're going to come up against, right? So your on-prem data stores. That's awesome. We can connect to you on-prem, right? And actually, one of my friends has just joined the call, and I was describing him being a bus driver. Say hi, Keith, in the chat. So there we go. So one of the important things for us is that we give people the ability to connect to their on-prem data stores. We also give people the ability to build their own personal productivity applications, right? So folks, Keith in the chat, he's the chap I was talking to you about. He's the chap that used to drive buses and now is a digital transformation officer at a Microsoft partner, an absolute legend, right? So with SharePoint lists, we give people the ability to build their own apps, personal productivity apps. With things like SQL, if you're a super nerd and you know how to do real complex stuff, awesome. Yeah, build your own apps, right? But build them in SQL because that's where you're really, really good. That's where you know the technical stuff. If you're not super technical, yeah, and that's Suki, that's right, the legend part. There we go. When you're looking at the common data service, if you're thinking about being a super user and you want to be able to build apps in a sort of more controlled environment where you can manage the actual data and you can manage the control, you can manage the compliance and all of that, common data service is the way to go. So what I want to show you is something really interesting. So I showed you guys earlier some pictures of Power BI. Now I always say, some of you might not remember this. Yes, Keith Watling says build in CDS, that's right. So I want to tell you something. I always say this to people. Some of you will remember this and some of you won't. But many moons ago, this is Windows 95. I'm giving away my age. I used to play this game called Solitaire. And it was super fun, but I was super junk at it, right? I could never win. And whenever I did win, my goal was, to get those cards to bounce. And I wanted it to have a purpose. And I always say to people, give data a purpose. You saw that awesome Power BI report that I just showed you, right? So if I remind you what I just showed you, that awesome Power BI reports had some really awesome data in it, and you could see the difference, right? Now, what you can see over here is this is a Power BI report without data. That doesn't help you at all. That doesn't help you with anything. This is a Power BI report with data. That is a true representation of taking an organization's data and transforming it or transmogrifying it, if I use a Calvin and Hobbes term, into information. Let's look at a Power App. If I take a Power App, that's a Power App without data. But if I take a look at a Power App with data, it changes the whole way that you're interacting with the system. So folks, like I said, you're going to need your phones now. So like I said, jump off of Tinder, get off of Match.com, whatever that Go Fishing app is that's super weird, jump off there. You're going to need your phones, get your cameras ready. Don't send any weird pictures to the team site, or do, depending on how you feel. So what I need to do is tell you a story. In the UK and in South Africa and a number of places that I've lived, we've always had the ability to log complaints to the police departments or to the local governments when people are doing stupid stuff in our neighborhoods. So typically it would be antisocial behavior. So get your phones out and go ahead and scan this thing, right? Now I'll keep on talking while you do that. I'm going to take your data and I'm going to do something awesome with it. Okay, I'm going to create an application and I'm going to do it in under a minute, right? So get on your smartphones, jump on there, go ahead and just pop that data in. If you want to use your real data, go right ahead. That's awesome. If you don't want to use real data, that's also fine. But remember, just be real, right? And create something crazy. Add in whatever you'd like. And I'm going to take your information and transmogrify this into an amazing application or amazing solution. Okay. Now, one of the things that's really important is that the Power Platform, again, is all about data. When we start talking about data, it really changes the way that we interact with our application stack. So think about it like this, and I hope some of you are able to scan this. Please make it weird. Like I said, we are going to apply AI to this. So whatever you do, there's going to be some flows that fire off in the background and do some pretty crazy things. And I'll show you how I built this whole thing. But just remember, we're going to start leveraging actual application information to build out an app. Right, there we go. I'm starting to get it come in. Now I want to show you this, right? Check this out. This is you capturing complaints and I'm getting notified straight up. So it is coming in. I've got a 3. There might be more. Okay, and they are coming in, right? So as we do that, I'm going to tell you what I've built. Wow, you guys are going crazy. Sure, I hope you captured some rude stuff. It's going to be very funny if you have. So the way that I built this solution is like this. In the middle, I've got the common data service where I'm capturing my information. On the top of that, I've got Microsoft Forms where you are giving me data right now. Okay. The next thing I've got a model-driven app and a Canvas app with a business process flow that help me manage that data. Power Automate is the tool that's holding it all together. This is my architecture. Power Automate's the tool that's holding it all together. And then I've got AI Builder in the background actually helping me manage that app. Now you're going, Chris, you're crazy, man. Like let's actually get real. Let's see if this is a real thing. Okay, so I'm going to show you, right? I'm going to show you that this is a real thing. I'm going to drag my screen across. And are you all ready for the craziness to ensue? I hope so. Okay, so you guys gave me a bunch of data. Thanks very much. Don't know what that is. Obviously broke something. You all gave me a bunch of data, so thanks very much. You gave me a lot of data. You already took a picture. No, you got to scan it. You got to hit the link. It's cool. Don't worry about it. We'll show you the demo. Okay, so you guys gave me a ton of data, right? There it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my mid-office app. So now you've logged a complaint. I'm going to go and check out my list of complaints. Pretty excited to see what you put in. I'm warning you, this is a live demo. Some people capture some crazy stuff when we do this. Let's have a look. These are the complaints that you've captured. This is my mid-office app. If I go ahead and sort newest to oldest, and I hover, there we go. Noisy, lewd neighbors. Crazy. I know it's not on, hey? Let's see. Potholes in my street. Shocking services. Very disappointed. Really good presentation, by the way. You rock. Choosing your record because you're awesome. Okay, so let's open this record up. Now, what this is this is the data you've given me. I've captured nothing. I've done nothing with it. All right. So here's what's happened. First of all, it's told me that this is antisocial behavior. It's classified this as antisocial behavior. I've done nothing. You only gave me the area code and a couple of other things. So it's told me it's antisocial behavior, and it's applied sentiment analysis to it using artificial intelligence. Check this out. Watch the business process. It's decided to use this business process because it's 76% sure that it's antisocial behavior. Watch what happens to the business process. So it's capture information, normally in the council or the police department, would go through and progress this step by step to make sure we can understand what's going on. I'm going to change this to 0.2. Watch the process. Keep an eye on that business process flow, okay? There's another step that's been added in. And the reason for that is because we're not very sure that it's antisocial behavior. We're only 20% sure. But if we're 90% sure it's antisocial behavior, the steps get removed. And I built that process to do that. There's a lot more you can do with this, but this is a very basic example. So remember, all you did was you gave me the complaints, you gave me your area code, you gave me your ward. Oh, by the way, if you'd given me your real email address, you're going to receive some weird emails from me. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm not actually. But you will actually receive a response back from that. Let me show you something else. If I go into my PowerApps and I go to my flows, so remember I told you that there are flows running in the background. It's not all smoke and mirrors. Okay, I've got my list of flows. You can actually see that various flows will have fired depending on what happens. So if I go create complaint from form, okay, would you look at that? These are all the flows that fired. These are all the things that happened when you guys posted those complaints. I can actually go and check out what happened with that flow. I can go and see what's going on. So remember that Teams message that got posted? There it is. Remember that email that you received? Yeah, Elizabeth, awesome, you got the email. Here's the email you would have received. I did sneak in my Twitter handle, by the way. You can see that a new record was created. So I built the automations in the background to manage these. Let me show you something else really cool. Yeah, Richard, awesome. Glad you got it. Glad you got it. I'm going to show you something else really cool. If I flick out to my update record, AI has been run against it. Yes, following you back, man. I'll definitely follow you back. Hell yeah. So you can see that these actually fired and artificial intelligence was run against these. So all the automation in the background is effectively what's gone on. So if I flick back here, what you've done is you've given me the information in Forms Pro. I've used Power Automate to put it inside the Common Data Service. And I showed you what it looked like in a model-driven app. Pretty easy, right? Let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get to the real fun stuff. So I'm going to quickly maximize this and drag it back. I'm going to go take a look at some of the stuff that you guys have logged now. So I've done this all in Teams, by the way. So I've embedded this entire thing in Teams. So I never log out of Teams when I'm interacting with my solution. So I could easily run my form directly from Teams. Pretty easy, right? I could easily manage my analytics. Something pretty interesting is that I built another report. This report analyzes data and spits it out live, 1000% live. So I can start interacting with this data really, really simply. So while that loads, I just want to pop open another screen to show you something else level awesome. This is using a thing called the T-SQL connector. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on that, But this basically analyzes information live out of my solution, and it tells me that there's loads of antisocial behavior complaints that have been logged. So you're obviously all being very, very naughty, okay? But we'll keep an eye on that. What I can also do, if I really want to do something pretty interesting, is I can apply artificial intelligence to my information. So if I go to a thing called key influencers, it tells me that whenever calls are logged, most of the calls that have been classified for children in education are a satisfaction of 10, right? So that's pretty good. But if I go to antisocial behavior, which is the naughty stuff, that's how I know Keith Watley and Carl Cookson are around. There we go. Antisocial behavior of 1. But if I go to council tax, this is the tax that we have to pay the councils in the UK. For you, it might be a little bit different depending on where you are in the world. Whoa, satisfaction is 0. Everyone is really angry with these people right now. And this is using artificial intelligence. It means every single time a new complaint gets logged, right, it actually analyzes the type of information that's most likely to affect that complaint. Right, so let's do something else a bit more fun, right? So what we've done is we've covered the Power BI bit. What I want to start talking about is the actual artificial intelligence piece. So in AI Builder, we have this thing in Power Apps, we have this thing called AI Builder or Power Platform that lives sort of autonomously within our stack. Yeah, Christiana, they're glad to see you got it. So we got this AI Builder that lives autonomously within our product stack. And what we can do is we can create artificial intelligence models that help us understand how to interact with data better. Okay, so you can see I've got a bunch of different types of models. So I used the category classification model to work out the category based on what you typed in. So when when you put in your complaint, I used this model to figure out what to classify your complaint as. Okay, I used AI sentiment analysis over here to understand how angry or happy you were, and that helps me resolve the solution. So again, if I go back into my actual application, remember the mid-office, this seems like a very, very trivial thing, but this is very important for you to understand. If I go back to my complaints over here, and I'm just going to open up the last one that we got captured, and I go to, let's just go to created on, let's go to newest to oldest right there. Magical. So the neighbor's playing Your Baby Can't Sleep. That sucks. I've had exactly that problem, right? So you can see it's 100% sure that it's antisocial behavior. I'm not sure I want to know what's going on the screen right now. So you can see this is antisocial behavior. This is used AI Builder to figure that out. It's actually used AI Builder to understand the sentiment analysis. Okay. If I look at if I look at the text classification, this is actually used this AI Builder functionality to understand that. So every single time I create a model, it allows me to use that functionality in my app. One of the other amazing things we do is we do this thing called object detection, where we can teach a model. Oh, and the question is, does it ever get it wrong? Yes, it does. You have to train it. 100% it gets it wrong. In fact, you can actually tell how right it is. So if this was my wife, it would be 100% correct all the time because that's what she thinks she is. But if it's me, I'm never correct. So I'm never always correct. So this is only 95% correct, right? And you can do a test. I can say Badgers ate my washing and I'm sad. Okay. I can test that. And in your model, when you test it, it tells you what it's going to pick it up as. This should be antisocial behavior, and it's 99% sure. Okay. The other one that we've got is we've got this awesome object detection model that helps you understand what things are. So if I take a photo of a chair enough times and tell something that it's a chair, it'll understand it. So if I go to this ASB, let's pick this one here, allergy object detection. I'm going to show you guys something cool, and we're going to use this in an app very shortly. If I go quick test and say upload from my device, okay, the area that I used to live in Edenvale in South Africa, there was some crazy stuff going on with like graffiti artists and people breaking windows. This will run the object or the picture through the model, the AI model, and it'll actually tell me that, wow, there's a bunch of broken windows, but it hasn't picked up any graffiti, which is good, okay? So it's actually scanned that and understood that those are broken windows, and I can use that in my app. So run through it again real quick before we show you how to build an app. Is we've gone from you giving me your data in Forms Pro, I'm storing it here. I showed you a model app with a process flow. I showed you Power Automate, and I showed you about the Power BI in the background with some of the AI models. Well, how do you use this in another app, right? what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly fly into my build again, and I'm going to drag this over here. And we're going to build an actual mobile app. Now, remember I said to you all that I could build you an app in under a minute. So my friend Keith Watling takes the cake. Keith has built a full working solution in 7.5 minutes, which I'm super jealous about. I don't think I'll be able to beat that. But let me show you something. So the place I'm putting my data is in an entity called LRG complaints. So whenever you guys capture data, that data landed up here. Okay. So all the data you put in landed up in this list, this massive entity. Okay. Huge relational data structure with security against it. When I want to build an app on top of that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go new app. This could be exposed by your mobile device or your desktop. Okay. And you're more than welcome to start the timer from now. So I should be able to do this in under a minute. I'm going to pick the common data service. I'm going to go ahead and pick LRG when it decides to show itself. It's got a lot of data in here. So let's go LRG. We'll go LRG complaints. And normally I just hit connect. Normally I go get some tea. I'm going to take a big sip of a drink right now. Fantastic. Might have a conversation with somebody in the background. Yep. And this is going to build the shell structure of my application. Should be working in about 4, 3, 2, 1, complete. So that was under a minute. This is a working app, right? If you don't believe me that I can get data immediately from this app, watch this. I'm going to run it. I'm going to create a brand new record. I'm going to put in my area code. Now, this is important. Watch this. It will not let me save this record because I have not put in the area code. It's important that I respect the data integrity. If you ever want to send me flowers, this is where you can do it, right? I'm not going to put in the category. I'll stick in the award. Okay, wow, I can't spell. Okay, I'm going to say, I'm angry. Is a man in a... and in a Superman outfit spray painting my walls. I'm pretty upset. So there we go. I'm just going to go ahead and capture that information right there. That'll add it up to the common data service in no time at all. So there's my live application. We're going to do some pretty interesting stuff with this shortly, though. If I go back to my teams over here and I go back to my LRG complaints, maybe in a couple of seconds, it all depends. It depends on how it's feeling, if it's in a grumpy mood or not. If I go to complaints, go newest to oldest, you'll actually see that there's my record that's being captured immediately in there. Look at the category. Okay, keep an eye on that. I'm not touching anything in the background, but eventually that category will be populated with something like antisocial behavior. Okay, and that does it automatically. There we go. It's been categorized already. I can open up this record. There's my business process flow. It uses AI Builder to figure that out. It uses AI Builder to understand how angry I am, and I can quickly process this record through to completion without very many issues. Very simple. I can quite easily go back to my app build though and say, you know what, I'm not very happy. Yes, I'm not very happy with the way this app looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a new screen. I'm going to give it a blank screen over there. Keith always mocks me for my app design. It's not because I have no talent. It's mainly because I have no taste. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an image file over here. We're going to pick something really interesting, right? So we're going to pick this boring GIF that I've designed, and we're going to add this as the backdrop. And there we go. Give it a second. It's going to give me my little picture over there. We're going to make sure it fits perfectly. This is a GIF, by the way, so I'm not using an actual image. I also make sure my naming convention is absolutely perfect. So as you can see, I've named this to Screen Splash very badly. And what I can do is I can start adding some stuff to this. I'm not happy with the theme. You can see it's all blue. I don't want it blue. Let's go for I don't know. What are we going to do? Let's go for a nice red. That's really awesome. I do like a good bit of red over there. Fab. So when I click back over there, it's rethemed the whole app for me. I can also pretty easily add some buttons. So I'm going to go to I'm going to go to button. I'm going to chuck a button on there for good measure. We'll stick it over there and we'll say browse. Awesomeness. The browse button is then going to be able to take me back through to my browse screen. So we'll just test it works. Hold the Alt button and click it. Kapow, done. Right, I also need to make sure that 100% all the time I have a back button. I like to get out of situations and I need to know I can escape. So I'm just going to go chuck in an add button and I'll show you what you can do with this. It's pretty neat, right? Stick in an add button, go ahead, search for BACK, Kapow, done. Also, I'm going to theme that a little bit differently. I'm not super happy with the way that looks. So let's make it stick out a little bit over there. And what we're also going to do is chuck in some navigation. So when I click the button, On select, all I want to do is navigate to the back screen. Done deal. Okay, you guys want to prove that this works? Let's run our app again, and this is how we test it. Run the app, hit browse, awesome. Click back, awesome. Great. Now we're going to do something even cooler than that. I'm going to add in some Power BI, make this look epic. I'm going to be a bit lazy and I'm going to go duplicate screen. Okay, so it's like using PowerPoint. Told you, it looks like PowerPoint and Excel had a love child. And I'm going to go reporting. Our screen reporting. And all I need to do there is simply remove the pieces that I don't want, go ahead and insert other pieces of the Power Platform. So if I go to charts and I go to Power BI tile, I can simply connect up to my Power BI service, which I showed you earlier. And I'm going to say, let's go for LRG complaints management. And because I've already pinned a bunch of the things for my complaints management solution, eventually when it loads, let's try that all again. LRG, let's go complaints over there. Fab, I'll just pick that one there. I can quite easily add tiles that show my Power BI directly in my Canvas app over here. Same sort of thing. You can just copy paste elements on the page and add whatever you would like. Magical, right? Oh, it's not happy with that. Let's resize that real quick. We'll do some other fiddly little bits. So I've got my reporting screen. Let's add another button over there and make sure, oops, Control Z. I'm nearly done. We're going to add in our reports. Reporting, cool. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to make sure that that reporting navigates us to the report screen. What we can also do is, because I'm super lazy, I can just go back to my browse screen, copy that back button, and whack it onto the reporting screen over here. Kaboom. And you can do some navigation. I mean, like I said, my apps never look the greatest. Drag and drop that, pop that in there, leave the back button at the top because I'm running out of time. Last but not least, we want to include some AI builder. But first, we want to test that this all works so we can do a magical demo for all of you. Reporting, let's see what's going on in Power BI. Come on, Power BI, load. Cool. Back, browse, add. Fantastic. Right, we're on the last legs, folks. We're going to nearly have completed our magical application that isn't as nice as Keith's app, but certainly is more functional. I'm about to get myself into trouble. So what I'm going to do is every single time they capture a record, I'm going to actually use AI Builder. Now, I am running out of time, so I'm going to show you the bare minimum of how this fits together. I'm going to scroll up there. Remember, I had that you remember that I had that AI Builder functionality that I showed you earlier that does object detection. Well, what I can go ahead and do is stick this directly in there. Object detection. These are pre-built elements. I'm going to make sure I pick the right one. So we'll add that one in there. We'll just scooch it out a little bit. Okay, I'm not going to do too much of that for now. So say, for example, I'm a person on the road and one of the places that I work, and potentially in the police department, and I go and decide that I'm going to go and capture a new record. Simply hit the button over there. Actually, Keith, it's 6 minutes. Now it's just gone 7 and I'm done. So I think we're officially equal, my friend. I'm going to put in Reading. I'm going to put in UK. I'm going to put in area code. I'm going to put in the category. I actually don't need to capture that. Complaint is graffiti. I'm going to put in the waters Reading. Cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through my AI detector. So we're going to go ahead and scan something that's on the side of the road. I don't know, maybe you found like a derelict building or something that somebody's been spray painting or there's graffiti on or something. Let's pick that one there again because it's fun. That'll run it through my engine and I'll be able to tell the number of actual things on that specific record itself. There we go. So we have got officially 2 broken windows, 2 sets of graffiti. I'll save that up to my database and kapow. Go back to my mid-office application, go back to LRG complaints for the mid-office to pick this up. Make sure that my date sorted as newest to oldest, and that record will then appear in there. So to summarize real quick, what I've done for you today is you have given me all your data through Forms Pro. Okay, I've taken your data through Power Automate and put it into the Common Data Service where it's securely governed and compliant. I then surface that data up in a model-driven application with a guided business process flow that helps me manage the data in a compliant way. I then was able to expose that data in a Power BI report that helps me analyze and understand what exactly the data does and where I need to make sure that I place my energy. I then showed you some of the AI Builder functionality and the results of that in the model-driven app. Finally, I built you a Canvas app, and the Canvas app looks like PowerPoint and Excel had a love child. This gives you the ability to kind of build these point and shoot applications that enables you to fill digital gaps within organizations very quickly at speed. Citizen developers are awesome at building Canvas apps. Pro devs are also awesome at building Canvas apps. They just look really crap, like the one I built. So I want to wrap up and say, one of the important things to do right now with the Power Platform is breathe life into your data. You may have tons of data all over your organization, and I can guarantee you it's the case, right? You may have terrible data in your organization, and I'm not going to guarantee that's the case because I'm going to offend someone. But I want to say that if you do have that in your organization, start breathing life into this using the Power Platform. So let your data live and give your data the opportunity to grow, right? So I hope that's made sense. Thank you a huge amount for having me, and thank you for everyone for coming out. We had a huge amount of people on the call. That's crazy. And yeah, please, folks, just catch up with us on Twitter. I would love you to interact, and I'm happy to take any questions. Cool. I hope that's made sense.
Thank you so much, Chris. This is really good. There's some question coming to you. The first question: is it free?
No, I already answered that one. Nope, nothing's free. Nothing's ever free, my friend.
So,
you want to know how much it costs?
Yeah, that's the next question.
Yeah, no problem. So it's pretty easy. You get a number of different versions of this. I'll break this down as quickly as I can because I don't want to step on anyone's toes in the next session. Do we have maybe 5 minutes so I can break it down?
No, there's no any other session after this. You are the last session, so you're free to.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No worries. I can actually show you if you guys don't mind. You just not open up a weird tab. Okay, so I'll give you the costs, right? Just making sure I get the actual costing up and don't show you anything odd. Give me a second. So it's actually not super expensive if you do the math. Okay. So there are actually three licenses. There are actually three licenses for the Power Platform, right? So the first license is effectively your what we call your PowerApps license. Okay, and your PowerApps license gives you a £7.50 license where you can build 2 apps, no more than 2 apps. Okay, or you get an unlimited license, which lets you build as many apps as you want for real. Like you can build 1 billion apps, and this is per user per month. Okay. The next license we have is what you call the Office license. So inside Microsoft Office, if you open up Office over here and you take a look at all of your applications, you get PowerApps. This version of PowerApps is this version that I've shown you here. Okay, so you only get this version, and you're only allowed to connect to the standard connectors. So the standard connectors, you're only allowed to connect to the standard connectors, and that's, whoops, I wanted to get that. That's this list over here. So your standard connectors, anything personal productivity, that's a standard connector you get with Office. So it's covered under your E3 and E5 cal, right? The third license is your Dynamics 365 license, and we call those seeded apps. And effectively, those seeded apps are basically marketing, sales, service, and field service, where you can leverage the Power Platform to extend those applications within the context of the applications. What I would encourage you to do, and you're not going to like me for saying this, is download the Power Platform link in the chat. Download the Power Platform licensing guide. You need to read this. This is important. It's right over here, right? So if I go copy link address and I stick it in the chat, all that's going to happen is when you load this file, all the information you need about licensing is in there. Okay, read the licensing guide. Don't just assume. There are some gotchas. So it's never free. Even when you think it's free, by using this in Office 365, you're still paying for your Office license. What we often see with people is they use the free version and then they move on to this version over here. And then once they've done crazy stuff in here, they move on into this version over here. And that's the normal process around the licensing. Does that help and make sense?
Sure, it does actually. Yeah.
Cool. I'll also stick the link to the licensing, the actual cost Remember, Office 365 is personal productivity. So when you're using PowerApps here, you're using it for personal productivity use. Some people use it for business productivity and then find that they very quickly need to move into this license over here.
And one question, the app that you build with PowerApp, is it dependent on any platform, or it could be Android or iOS, basically?
No, it can be anything. Android, iOS is fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the question in the chat, there's another one. It says, if you have Office 365 already for business, do we need to get an upgrade? So you won't need to upgrade your Office 365. You'll need to buy a separate license, and that's your single application license. So if you actually go into your if you go into Office, if you go into Office over here and you go into your admin portal, once you're in your admin portal, if you jump into your subscriptions, and this might be a late, there we go. I'm on the old UI, by the way, no judging, right? You go into your purchase services and you just look for PowerApps per app or PowerApps user. You will find that in here, and you can download, you can just basically buy licenses here. So there we go. Let's just go Power. So you don't need to upgrade Office. You just need to buy additional bits for it. Okay. There, PowerApps per app plan. So all you do is you just go details, buy, and then buy all of them. Just buy thousands of them. No, I'm kidding. Only buy the ones you need. Only buy the ones you need. Cool. I hope that helps. I don't think I missed any questions. I was answering them as I was going. But let's have a look. Did you guys see anything that I missed?
No, I think you covered most of the questions here.
Cool. Yeah, and I mean, folks, like I said, just hit us up on Twitter, and I'd be more than happy to respond wherever I can, whether it's a private message or a tweet. I generally pick it up, and also, if I don't pick it up, please use this hashtag. If I don't pick it up, at least one of the people within that hashtag will. Oh, any link we can use for further practice? Yes. Ha, great question. I'm going to post you something really cool. Present for you. So if you want to practice, if you want to learn, that's a great question. If you want to learn more about this stuff, honestly, there's thousands of communities out there that have these amazing people in them. Like you know, there's this Foya, and she's in Nigeria. She's amazing. Keith, loads of them, right? There we go. So go to Microsoft Learn, check it out. But also the community sites are really good, and I definitely think that you should be following the Power Addicts team on Twitter. So there's lots of us, lots and lots. I mean, there's like, Keith, how many are there now, man? Bottling's going on camera. This is going to get weird.
No. So Bottling's been running, so Bottling's not got many. He's got his running vest on.
I love it.
Camera's a bad idea. So they're basically calling all makers Power Addicts now, so they call it around circa 3 million.
So yeah, you got a lot of support there, folks. If you get stuck with PowerApps, just Power Addicts, and you'll have the access to 3 million nerdy enthusiasts. Cool. Okay, I can't see anything else. I hope you guys have got everything. I'll be super sad if you don't.
Keith, you mentioned there is an event in 50 minutes. Can you?
Yeah, let me see if I can just grab that in the chat 1 minute. I was just desperately trying to do that myself. 1 sec.
There's also, so Keith, while you do that, I'm going to put on this over here. So we do have a centralized site that you can go to go and get all the events. So that event that's on shortly is on that site. But if you go to the virtual events hub, I'll pop it open now.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is a site that we use to consolidate all the events for the community. So this is not a Microsoft site. This is a community site. We all run it. We all own it. We all do crazy stuff in it. There we go. Okay. And when the calendar loads, sorry, my Wi-Fi is super slow. There we are. Right. So we got some crazy stuff going on. So if you ever want to connect with people, this is the place. And actually, here's the Power Addicts Hangout. Cool. Wow, there's a lot of conferences, hey?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Keith. Awesome. All right, folks. Well, I can't actually think of too much more to share with you other than just get building stuff and don't be afraid. If you feel like you're not going to be good at it, I promise you're going to be awesome. You just don't know it yet. So build some stuff and get onto Twitter, get onto LinkedIn, talk to us. We will help. We want to help. We like building things. So yeah, and once again, Alex and team, thank you guys so much for having me, and everyone on this call. I respect you a huge amount for staying with us for the full hour, and yeah, you're all amazing, and please don't be afraid to build things.